Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode number 47 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. I'm getting ready to do some applied energistics. I've got a basic ME controller here, I've got an ME crafting terminal set up, and I've got a basic ME chest with a very, very small amount of storage in it. So there's several things I'd like to accomplish today. Number one, I'd like to connect my logistics pipe system to my applied energistics system so that I can continue using much of the infrastructure I've already got set up. Eventually we might go straight convert to, all AE, but for now I want to have kind of a merged system and just see how well it works. I'm going to see if, over time, if things are okay, cool. If not, if it just becomes a hassle to have two separate systems, may wind up just, getting it all to applied energistics, whatever is really more efficient and, more fun to show you guys how to do. The other thing I want to do, let's just check on our rubber production. Nice. Looks like we're getting a decent amount of rubber from our rubber tree farm. You can see we've already got a ton of the stuff. I'm really happy for that. The other thing I want to go today is make sure I have the AE AutoCrafting system set up. So we can automatically craft stuff with applied energistics, and it's a lot faster and a lot easier to configure than the logistics pipe stuff. Because, also keep in mind, though, it's a little bit more expensive, I'm not going to lie, but it's definitely cool. So it's something we're going to want to set up. We're going to want to build probably a decent size, not like ridiculous size, but it's a multi-block structure similar to like not the bricks and stuff here, but the iron tanks, right? So the larger we build it, the more complex it can be, and the more stuff it can craft, and the faster it can craft. So that's pretty much what our goal is. So one of the things we're going to want to focus on is that. The other thing is we want to start migrating most of our stuff out of our chests into the applied energistic storage. So most of the stuff in the chests up here are going to land in that AE storage system, okay? And once we've got that set up, then we'll probably keep the barrels as they are, and the rest of the logistic stuff should pretty much keep working the way it is right now. We'll see if we need to make any changes or tweaks to it. Some things we might just change up the way AutoCrafting works. So like the cyclic assembler here, we might change that up, but we'll see. I'm not entirely sure how we want to get it going yet. But for now, what I do want to do is probably snag this thing out of here and put this guy temporarily just over here, the ME chest, just to get some room. There we go. Everything's back up and running. Cool. How are we for cable, by the way? We've got one. That's probably not enough, but that's okay. I want to start working on the AutoCrafting system from Applied Energistics, so let's see what's involved. So there's several components to this multi-block structure that we need to build. Number one is, where is it? It's in here somewhere. There we go. The assembler containment wall. This is basically going to make up the bones of your structure. So think of it like the tank here. You basically want to have the outer structure of it make up that. Any walls of the structure, so what we have here, like the glass, okay, is going to made it up of heat sinks, heat vents right here. Okay, so those are the two main components. The other thing we're going to want is a crafting CPU. The more crafting CPUs, these go in the center. You can either have crafting CPUs or, what's the name of the thing? Pattern encoder, maybe? No, it's one of these blocks. Pattern provider, I'm pretty sure that's it. That also goes in the center. And basically, the larger the structure, the more space in the center for more pattern providers and more crafting CPUs. Pattern providers give you access to more crafting items. So the more pattern providers you have, the more auto crafting you can put into your auto crafter. Okay, the more crafting CPUs you have, the more things it can craft at once. Basically, one crafting CPU can craft one item at a time. So if you want to craft something that requires like 10 steps, it'll take 10 times as long. But if you have maybe 5 crafting CPUs, it'll only take 2 times as long instead of 10 times as long. So it's a lot faster to have more crafting CPUs. We definitely want a few of them. So let's think about what size structure we want to make. Now, I won't lie to you guys, this is a pretty expensive thing to make here, but I think we should get started. I'm going to go with 4x4 for now, and the good news is we can always expand this thing as we need. So let's just clear out a little bit of space, something that'll be, pretty cool here. That doesn't look too bad, and that's not terrible at all. So what about that? Does that look cool? Yeah. I think that'll work, right? Sure, why not? So if we had it, it would be, that would kind of be jutting out into the room a little bit. Let's send it back one further. That'll do. Okay, so what we need here is, first off, we need to build out the skeleton of this thing, which is going to look like this. And then it's going to go up 1, 2, 3, and that'll do. Okay, so that's basically going to be the skeletal structure of your crafting system. Then, like I said, the walls need to be made up of, you know, the other cool stuff. I could probably use something like, to represent them. And we might wind up making this larger at some point. Okay, so the walls have to be something different. We also have to get the walls on the top and bottom. So I need even more of this stuff to represent. And then we'll also need walls in the front. And then what I'll probably have is, I could go with 4 and 4, so 4 crafting CPUs and 4 storages. That might not be bad. I might want to go with 3 and 5. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with 3 and 5 and see if that works out. So we're going to want 3 pattern storage, and because they can usually store quite a good number of patterns, you know, if we ever need to expand it, we will. And then 5 crafting CPUs, that'll be good. So these things are expensive. The assembler containment wall is a good amount of gold and iron, and that gets 1. Okay, so, and I mean, we need a lot of assembler containment walls. We also need the heat vent, which is just a lot of iron all around. And we want the crafting CPU, which requires an ME advanced processor, aka a diamond. And then finally the pattern provider, also a diamond. So good times will be had by all. So I don't know if I have that many diamonds. I might need to run my AE system, or my mining system a little bit. So let me get a few diamonds and get the resources we're going to need to put this together, and then we'll be back. Alright guys, you know what? Change of plans. I've got this here machine that I want to build, but I need a lot more resources, and I'm afraid to turn on my mining well because I know I don't have the place to store all the resources I want to mine. So, let's go with storage first, and then we'll work on this thing. Sound like a plan? Okay. So to get storage going, one of the first things I'm going to want to craft is a chest, because that's where we're going to store things. But that's not actually what we're going to store in that chest. We're not going to store items. We're going to store drive, data. So what I'm going to make here is an ME drive. Oh, you know what I need also is iron. I knew I was forgetting something. The ME drive is like the ME chest in that it can accept a bunch of these storage disks, but it doesn't just hold one, it holds like a bunch. So let's take a look. So I craft one of these, good deal. And this guy can kind of sit right over here. Now I'm going to take this ME drive, I'm going to take that 1K storage out. Goodbye drive, or chest, and hello drive. And the storage goes in there. Now this thing can hold up to 10 storage devices. As you can see, you can access the items directly. So the ME drive only works when you've got an ME controller hooked up on the network and you've got a crafting terminal or a normal terminal that allows you access to the items that you want to make. Cool? Very cool. So what we can do now is store a bunch of data in these drives. So what I'm actually going to do though is empty this out. Thank you. And steal this thing. Cool. What we can do is, let's see, we can shift right click and it actually takes that storage cell. Remember, that's what actually stores it. The storage cell housing is now a separate item. I want to upgrade this guy. So in order to do that, I'm going to make 2 more of them. 1, 2. Cool. And get all this stuff back in my inventory. And then I want to upgrade to the next tier. So let's take a look at the 4K storage cell, which is, there it is, cool. That is going to need a storage segment, which is 3 storage cells, remember 1K each, but then you throw a basic processor in there and you get a storage segment, which gives you something even cooler. Then you can combine that storage segment with a storage cell housing, and we get 4K storage. So this 4K storage cell can store a lot more stuff. It's pretty much a good thing to go with early on, especially because A, it doesn't use much by way of diamonds, and B, you're going to have a lot of different items, so until you have like a ton of stuff, 16K storage cells don't really make much sense. Unless you want to store, like, I'm probably going to put my metals in a 16K storage cell because that's what I have a ton of. And maybe a couple other things. And I'll show you guys how to format these in a little bit so that you can specify exactly what items get stored on which storage items, because you don't want to get a 16K storage cell and fill it up with like a bunch of armor and stuff, because that's going to use up 1 type each and you're going to barely use any of the bytes. So that'll basically be a waste. So let's make a few more of these and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so I filled up an ME drive with about 6 of these 4K storage devices. So how are we going to get stuff into this ME drive? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to need to make an ME interface. Let's take a look. The interface is a cool block. It's basically your interface between any other pipe transport system and the AE system. And why don't I make one before I show you how it works? So we're going to need the conversion matrix, which I think I've got one of those. Cool. We might even have all the stuff we need for this. That would be really nice. Interface. And go. Oh, that is awesome. I'm very pleased that I have everything I need. So let's see. If we were to place the ME interface like right there, that looks like a good spot, as good as any. The ME interface can basically take any items in. So any item that gets piped into the interface, right? So let's say we placed it in here, boom. It's going to get eaten right up and placed in the ME system somewhere. It's going to find the nearest available slot. So right here it chose to place it in the first ME drive here with 4K storage. You can also prioritize with this configuration here which items get higher priority over the others, but right now we've only got one space that can store items, which is the ME interface. So we're going to just, or I'm sorry, it's the ME drive is the only place that can store items, so we're just going to leave it as is. So what I'm going to do is get a chassis pipe. All right, so let's get a logistics pipe. Basic, yeah, one of those, please. Thank you. And we're also going to want blank card, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And we're going to want some cactus, 2 of you, and an iron chip set, 1 of you. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and cook up this cactus real quick while I'm waiting for the other stuff. Looking good. Okay. Not sure why you didn't... Oh, right. No, I'm actually not sure why you didn't get pulled out, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it right now. What I'm going to do is craft up real quick. Blank card, iron, and item sync module. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to place... you know what else I want to do? Surround this with iron. Logistics chassis Mark II. Seems pretty easy. I'm only going to install on this guy. I could have gone with a Mark 1 maybe. Item sync module. Boom. And I'm going to make this the default route. Yes. Okay. So what that's going to do is, by default, anything that doesn't have anywhere else it's supposed to go in the network is going to land right, boom, there. What I'm going to do next is probably disconnect all my chests upstairs. So let's take that off the menu. Okay, so now all the chests upstairs are no longer connected to my logistics pipe network, and we can confirm that by checking in here and seeing that there's barely any items. The only stuff that's available to us is the stuff down here in our basement, like the things in the barrels and the chest, and some of the things like over by the animal farm and the wood from the wood tree farm. Cool. So now that that's all disconnected up there, what I can do is come up here. And what I'm thinking of doing is break the ender chest right here, because we've already got, well boy, that's not what I wanted to break, but that's okay. I'll put it back and fix it. You can go right, boom, there with the extractor module Mark III. Cool. And what I'm going to do is just use my gravity gun. And what else I want to have handy and ready is magic wand. I want you guys to be able to see this. You ready? Come here, you. I'm just going to place this guy. Now, if I've set everything up right, what should happen is when I place this down, the extractor module will pull all the items out of the chest, send it down the default route, and what we should see here is a bunch of items flowing to the default route. There it all goes. Where's the default route? Oh, you guys guessed it. It's right over here, the ME interface. Nice. Cool. And there we go. Everything lands inside the chest. So we can see we're storing a bunch of items in here. So even though we didn't fill up the bytes used on this storage device, we did fill up the number of types of items it's allowed to have. 63 different types of items, which means that we can no longer store anything new on this drive. We can store the same items. So like if we got more saddles, or if we got more of these solenoids or something like that, right? We would be able to store more of them, but you can see it's orange now on the interface. That means it's no longer able to accept new types of items, all right? And now we started putting some items into this storage device. That's the second one in the line, okay? So we've got 15 different types of items in there. Cool. So we are cruising. we can see now that the chest is empty. Now, similar to the AE system that we have, or the logistics pipe system, it's important to kind of use the, let's see, what can I get out of my inventory just for a minute? That's fine. It's important, pretty much, to use, let me actually try this. You can go away, and what else can I get rid of? This stuff for now. Use the item sync module instead of the logistics pipe, the default one, just because it'll be able to detect and find out if the AE system is full. If you used a basic logistics pipe, which you absolutely could do if you wanted to, what it would not be able to do is, as a default route, is detect if the AE network is full. What's cool is using this guy, he can see, hey, this thing's full, I'm going to go ahead and stop accepting items over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is start migrating most of my items in a similar manner. So I'm just going to grab the gravity gun from my example metals and ores chest. That's a lot of junk. Come here, you guys. You're going right there. Okay, now if I jump downstairs, we should see everything flowing. Now let's see how many different types of items we have. We shouldn't have too many types of items. I would think that this would be more just a lot. So let's see what we get. We've currently got 19 types of items on this thing. Once it all goes in, boom. We've now up to 54 types. So the other chest used up like 1.5 of these storage devices. This one only used up half, but it's storing all our iron. And what I've got it here is if we sort it like this, there we go. Look, all my metals are available. The cool thing about ME too is you can see, you can have like multiple stacks of items all in one shot. Very nice. All right, so let me do this. I'm just going to basically be repeating what I've done over the last few minutes multiple times. Oh boy. Why didn't you guys go and dump into the system? That's a good question. I have to figure out what happened there. Let me drop some things. I'll be back in a minute, and I'll let you know why this didn't work. That's interesting. It's working, but it's like taking its time. I'm not entirely sure why that's the case, but I'll just kind of let it go and see what happens. It is working. It seems like it's waiting for the item to land in the ME interface before it sends more. All right. We'll just kind of keep an eye on that and see what happens. All right, on to the next one. Let's get the gems chest going. There we go. And you guys should have no problem just dumping. See, that one sent everything at once. I just want to check to make sure, though, that it did. Maybe it's sending... You know what? That's interesting. It is. It's kind of sending like one of each type at a time, maybe? I want to see what happens. Either way, like, you just leave it here. It'll eventually clear out. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Okay. We'll keep an eye on things and just see what happens. Oh boy, here we go. Last of the chests. Awesome. So now we've got a nice empty room here that we're going to have to do something with later. But, hey, I've got all my items stored in an AE network. Let's see how things are looking downstairs. Looks like I guessed pretty appropriately with the number of storage units I'm going to need to have. Looks like we filled up in different types of items, pretty much all of them, so that's good. And I'm probably going to want a few more of these guys. So let's talk about the wonders of AutoCrafting once you've got all your items in your ME terminal. Yeah. It also got dark down here. How did that happen? Let's see. All right. Nope, not too bad. Good enough for me. All right, so what I want to do now is make just a couple more of these drives. So let's get 4K storage ready. And let's see what we can do. So if I look up 4K storage in here, it works. All right, so what I want to make then is a bunch of these things. Some more basic processors, I think. Do I have any more of those? Yeah, I have a few. I could probably... All right, let's just make like 1 or 2 more of these 4K storage guys. So what I'm going to want is 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, almost. Wow, I'm really short on redstone, huh? One of the things I can probably do then is clean that up and then put all these back. Cool. 4K storage requires storage cell, boom. Nice. So I've got the storage cell ready. Let's go and search for storage. I know that the next tier of storage is going to require 3 of those guys. So we can do 1, 2. That should be enough. And then we'll just get the 4K storage thing ready to go. I'll just put that in there and I can do that. Nice. See how awesome it is to craft with AE? Very fun. So now we've got a lot of storage things going on. So what I should be able to do then is come over here, open up this chest, and drop an item into it, which tells my mining system, let's get to work. And we should see a bunch of stuff start showing up through our ender chest. There it is. And it's all going to sort appropriately. So all the cobble and the dirt and the marble is still going to head off to the left. All the metals and all that stuff is still going to head into the chest. And then anything that's not sure where to go is going to head to the default route, which is now my AE system. Cool. And everything's going to land in there. So we see some, you know, all kinds of good stuff showing up, including all the metals that we're processing from the ores that we're mining. Look at that. Beautiful, right? So I'm going to let this run for a little bit, get a few diamonds, and then be ready to make the auto-crafting system. Alright guys, now that I've let my mining well run for a little bit, it's time to make some of this awesome stuff. So, let's jump into Applied Energistics. And we're going to get ME Assembler Containment Wall. I'm pretty sure I need something like 32 of these guys, so hopefully I've got the resources for it. That looks like we're getting there. So far, so good. Cool. We're also going to need ME heat vents. We're going to need 24 of those, according to my calculations. Ooh, I need more ME cable. Let's get them. ME cable. There's a bunch of different types of cable, by the way. I'll kind of go over like what they all are like, but for now, this will do. Let's see. Do I have any just like the regular old cable? ME cable, and we'll have auto-crafting pretty darn soon. So we're probably going to need more Fluix dust. How are we for this stuff? Fluix dust? Yeah, I could use like a stack of it. Okay. And ME cable coming in. Let's get... We're going to want a bunch of these anyway, so... Alright, that's enough for now. Right? No. Need more glass. Let's get ourselves a stack of sand. So here's the deal. Okay, it's not showing me that. Let's see. Alright, I didn't set this up yet. I'll set it up shortly to allow you to pull things out of logistics pipes. And let me set that up now, actually. I think if... I go with, is it a provider pipe? There's two pipes that we want to put on this guy. The item sync is sending items to it. Request and provider. I think it's a request pipe. So let's see, do I have one of those? Request pipe, I do. If I just hook this guy up right there like that, and we get another pipe. Stone transport, why not? This isn't a intersection really, so it should figure itself out. Cool. Now, do I have access to my sand? I do, but notice that it says there's only, oh look, there we go, items requestable, 3,341. So basically, the sand is now available, as is all the other stuff in my logistics pipe. So just having the request logistics pipe on the side of the interface, these two mods are specially coded to work together so that the ME interface, the request logistics pipe, makes everything available. Now we can access our sand. The only caveat is that we have to actually click on it and say how many we want, and then hit begin. And what it's going to do is it's going to kind of treat it like it's crafting, but instead it's requesting it, pulling all the sand straight into there, and then it gets stored in here, and now we've got, you guessed it, 64 pieces of sand available. And I can just throw them right in there like that, and they'll cook up and do their thing. Nice, right? So let's come up here and get some more glass, because we needed some of that. So that's how you get these two systems to talk to each other. Now the provider pipe, do I have one of those? Let's see. Provider pipe? I don't have one on me. I have provider modules, but I don't think I have a provider pipe. But basically, if you put a provider pipe on here, it allows the logistics pipes network to access the items in the ME chest. So if we want to keep, you know, inventory supplied with stuff, or if we have crafting pipes or whatever else, we can have a provider pipe on the ME interface. So that's the other option that we can go with, and we'll probably do that soon. Alright, so I've got my 24 heat vents and the 32 assembler chamber things. We're also going to want, I think, 8 of these guys. So let's put them in our cooker, and that should get to work on those. And then we want to have the 5 crafting CPUs. I believe that's correct. Right, so 5 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we want pattern providers. Okay, we're going to want 3 of these. And for that we're going to need crafting table and storage cell. Okay. Basic. Processor assembly. Let me just get a handful more of these. I guess 7 is the number I'm getting. Come back here, you. There we go. Okay. I wanted pattern providers. So we're definitely going to want 2 more storage cells, so that's going to get us close to what we need. Then I need crafting tables, 1, 2, 3. See how much easier it can be to AutoCraft stuff? And I need 1 more conversion matrix. Nice. I pulled it off. I wasn't sure if I would with the resources I have at the moment, but I think we managed. So let's do this. Let's replace all this stuff with the proper things that we're going to need to have here. So here we go. Just like I said, we're going to be placing down the assembly containment walls. Like so. There and there. And there. The walls of these structures need heat vents. Hooray, my math was correct. And then we want 3 pattern providers in any area here. And these are the number of patterns that each pattern provider can store. And then we want crafting CPUs in the other slots. And then the final heat vents on the outside. Everybody cross your fingers that we get a multi-block. Nice! Look at that. Boom. ME molecular assembler chamber. How does this thing work? Well, it's really not too bad. First off, we need to get a pattern pattern encoder. That's what we want. All right, so we just want pattern encoder. We need another conversion matrix. Told you we're going to need lots of those as we go through here. We're also going to need a crafting table. And that gets us the pattern encoder. Cool. So that's step 1. This guy doesn't need power and can kind of go anywhere. I'll just place him right here next to this thing. Next up, we're going to need blank patterns. So let's get a blank pattern recipe. And we're going to teach the AE system how to make these pretty darn quickly. In fact, it might be the first thing we teach. Let's do that. All right. So in order to make a blank pattern, we need iron, glowstone, Certus quartz, and glass, which is pretty easy. Okay. So we take the blank pattern. We put it over here in the top right slot, and these stack so you can put a bunch of them in here. Then you set your pattern in the encoder here. What you should be able to do is shift-click from NEI, and it'll fill this inventory up. That doesn't come default with Applied Energistics. It's part of the NEI plugins add-on. So once you do that, you just click encode, boom. And it's going to use up that blank pattern, and we can clear the recipe if we want. And now we have right here a blank pattern that says, hey, I'll craft a blank pattern if you give me 2 glass, 3 glowstone dust, 1 Certus quartz, and 3 iron. Okay, all we got to do is pop that guy right into the molecular assembler chamber. Cool. He sits right in there, and we can see here now if we want to get ourselves a blank pattern, all we have to do is click on it and say, I want 10 of them, please. Boom, go. And it's going to craft them relatively quickly, a lot faster than by default because we've got those 5 CPUs in there. And boom, we've got 10 molecular assembler doohickeys ready to go. And yeah, we can start crafting things like crazy now. So there's a bunch of stuff we'll probably want to teach this thing how to make, like Fluix dust. We're going to need lots of that, right? We're also going to want to be able to make cables at some point automatically. We're also going to want to make conversion matrices. I told you we probably want a lot of those. So let's see, conversion matrix. So that is going to need, so in order to make a conversion matrix, I also have to know how to make this ME basic processor. So let's get those guys installed. And what's cool is when you have the items in the molecular pattern assembler, you can see exactly what they're making. So it shows you the item that's being made right there. One other thing we might want to grab is a crafting monitor. This is going to monitor all the items that are currently being crafted in the network. So all you need is a cable here, and we'll install this guy right up here. Boom. And the crafting monitor shows you what's currently being crafted. So for example, how many basic of these guys do I have left? I've got 2. So if I went up and said, hey, I want to make 3 of these conversion crafting guys, okay, begin. It'll make 2 of them, and then it'll get stuck because it's currently working on the ME basic processor. What it'll do is it'll craft everything it needs. So like, you know, if there's multiple components to this thing, it'll craft them all ahead of time. But if it doesn't know how to craft something, it'll get stuck. And it'll say, hey, I need another one of those basic processor things because I am stuck without it. All right, guys, so obviously we have a lot of work to get done to get our AE system fully up to snuff. We have to teach it how to smelt things and how to craft certain things and probably get a pulverizer going. So what I'm probably going to wind up doing is, remember, I did have an extra couple of pulverizers, yep, and a couple furnaces. I'll probably want to use an induction furnace, though, to get things really fast. I might even use macerators for it, just because, you know, we can overclock these guys and just do really cool stuff with it. So we'll see. But we've got plenty of work to do to get this thing up and running. But I'm pretty happy with the way the build's coming along so far. As we can see, we can access logistics pipes network from the AE network, and we can access the AE network from the logistics pipe network if we install the provider pipe on here, which I'll probably get going at some point. But we've got AutoCrafting, and we've stored all our items in this ME drive. I'm going to want another ME drive pretty soon, and I'll probably start formatting the disks to make sure that they store the right items in the right spot. But overall, we've got some pretty cool stuff going on. I can clear this room out now, get it all cleaned up and tidy. I'll make sure that the ender chest still functions the way I want it to. This thing's dead. No access to you anymore, but that's because everything's disconnected at the moment. I'll probably wind up installing probably both of these up there in the roof. So let's actually, what you can do, by the way, is shift click to clear out an item from the crafting monitor, so it's no longer trying to craft that stuff. Okay, so a few things to do, lots to get sorted up, but then we'll have a really stable and powerful system for storing lots of items. For now, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.